Welcome to the City Current Show. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference, empowering the good. And we love talking about corporate philanthropy and making a difference. We're honored to be joined by Katie George Hooser. She's the Chief Marketing Officer for IMC Companies. How are you doing?
Thanks, Jeremy. I'm happy to be here.
So you all have grown tremendously, long legacy. Give us a little bit of history and context for IMC Companies.
Yeah, so IMC Companies is the largest marine drayage company in the country. And so what we do, we've really gotten a lot more attention over the last couple of years. More people know now than they used to, but we're the trucking company that goes in ports and railroads, and we pick up these ocean containers and out of those facilities. And so that's how we started and sort of have evolved over time to where we're very concerned about fluidity and how to move those containers faster for our customers.
Give us a little bit on the branding side. Obviously, this is your personal baby when you talk about marketing, branding, rebranding. So give us a little bit of behind the scenes of that evolution as well.
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm the Chief Marketing Officer for IMC Companies. And so when I started, we had a different logo, a different company name. And so, obviously we were a lot smaller then. And so it's been really fun to get to create all of that. And so all of our logos and websites and just kind of our presence has been something that my team has gotten to work on.
Talk about being based in Memphis. I know you've got a lot of locations, Nashville. So talk about the different locations and what it's like to run that sort of an enterprise.
Yeah, sure. So IMC Companies, it's funny because I think we have gotten some attention lately. We just built this new headquarters in Collierville, Tennessee, and you may not have known that, but we moved in last year, and so but IMC Companies really, we're 40 years old, and so we started with one truck and one driver. And our growth has really been very gradual. And so, it's always been a goal of ours to grow by 15% a year. In that sense, we had just those handful of trucks when we started. And so if we do that, that means that every 5 years we double in size. And so, if you do that over a 40-year period, then we obviously look a lot different than we did in 1982. So Memphis is our headquarters location, and then the second terminal that we ever developed was in Nashville.
I know that you mentioned drayage, the term there, and so a big part of this is raising more awareness for some definitions, but talk about that again in terms of raising awareness for it and the importance of what you do in terms of making sure that goods are flowing here in the U.S.
Right. So, without drayage, all of the containers that you see would be stuck at the rails in the port. So there would be no imports that could come into our country or no exports. So it's really just this very critical piece of the supply chain. And so there is a lot of people that don't know that term or that important piece in transportation. We have a shortage of truck drivers in our industry. And also, here in our office, we're always trying to hire really good, talented people. There's a lot of different ways that you can work in transportation. I'm in marketing, but I consider myself part of the transportation workforce. All of our sales folks, dispatchers, customer service, we've got a very robust IT department, and all of those people really contribute to the supply chain and moving those containers, and we can't stop. So, and if we do, then, it just is a matter of a day or two before, the American shelves would run out of goods. And so I just think what we do is critically important.
We'll talk about some of the partnerships, including with Southwest Tennessee Community College, that play a vital role in the job creation, especially around transportation, truck drivers and such. Give us a little bit of it when you talk about job openings like the truck drivers. Talk about some of those current openings.
Yeah, so I personally felt very committed and passionately about finding truck drivers. So my department in marketing, we're responsible for hiring all of our truck drivers. And so the team that I work with hires about 140 truck drivers a month, and that's nationally all across the country. And that's a hard thing to do. It's hard to find men and women who have that kind of skill set, who want to do that job. And so, and I believe in trade schools. I believe that that it doesn't make sense, and not everybody wants to go and get a 4-year degree, and that learning a skill and a trade is makes a lot of sense, and you can even do better financially in that kind of job. And so it's kind of funny. So one memory I have, so IMC is a family business. And so I went to Hutchinson School, and I remember in kindergarten, they had a career day. And most of the dads and the moms that came were doctors and lawyers, and had, what we all thought was very complicated jobs. And my dad came and brought a tractor trailer truck. And and we created all kinds of havoc at Hutchinson School, because he had every single kindergartner in there blowing the horn and playing in the trailer. And it was way more fun than anybody else's presentation. But we got to talk to people about transportation and what that was. And it was such an impact to me. And I've gotten to do that for my own kids. So we've been out at PDS and have done the same thing, and at St. Mary's with those girls. And just about a month ago, went to Holy Rosary and talked to the kids there. And in Collierville schools, where, since our headquarters is in Collierville, we've gotten to spend a lot of time with kids in Collierville schools. We had teachers just a couple of weeks ago visit our corporate office and learn from different departments about what they do. And some of that does require a 4-year degree, but there's a lot of jobs here that doesn't. We're also in the Collierville parade, which will be at Christmas. And so, our drivers feel proud to be a part of those events. They get to talk to kids and explain how important it is what they do. And we feel like, hopefully we're finding some future truck drivers or future transportation professionals in those groups. And so that's a lot of fun. And then personally, I'm on the board of Southwest Community College Foundation. And the reason why I joined that is because, there's two parts of Southwest Community College, and part of it is, that 2-year degree that leads into the 4-year program. But they also have a lot of trade schools, and there are different things that you can do without having to get that 4-year degree. And I just love the idea of different options for different people. And I'm excited about helping with that and continuing to learn more on behalf of IMC, and just about, all kinds of trade schools or, professions that need help like that, like we do.
Give me one thing that you wish everyone knew when it comes to being a transportation professional, specifically a truck driver. There is an amount of freedom. As you mentioned, the financial piece of that, you can make a lot of money for your family and for you. So give me one more thing that you wish everyone knew regarding being a truck driver.
Yeah, I think what's unique about our company and what drayage is. So drayage, again, we're picking up at ports and railroads. So if you bring a container into the port, we're going to rail it as close to the inland location where it needs to go as possible. And so, those men and women, when they're picking up, they actually don't go far, so they're home every night with their families. I think we have more women drivers at IMC than other companies because of that. They're able to have a family life and a good way to support their family at the same time. And so I think that people don't view trucking like that. They think of this, these long haul moves where you have to sleep in the back of your truck. And that doesn't have to be the case. And it's certainly not the case with us. And so I think that's something people should know.
Why is community service so important? You mentioned obviously your board service, but talk about why it's so important to the company.
Well, I mean, we're from here, and so we're part of the community here. And Memphis and Nashville, developing those communities is important for all of the employees who work and live here. So, a couple of other things that we do, we're involved with the Palmer Home, and which is a children's home in Hernando, Mississippi. And so, my mom is actually a board member and very involved with that group. And then we do a lot with Neighborhood Christian Center too, which is a local Memphis group, also focused on children. And our employees this year will buy about 150 children's Christmas presents. We do various initiatives with them throughout the year. The other thing we did is we had our employees come out to their facility, and we passed out sanitation wipes, and daycares came through and picked up wipes, for daycares, which was especially important post-pandemic, is to make sure that they had what they needed to keep all their facilities clean. And so it's fun to give money and to help support these organizations, but it's also fun to, to get to go there and see and have our employees do that too.
What's something that you learned going through the pandemic that you've been able to apply coming out that has helped you become more successful? Obviously, with what you do, critical, on our end in terms of the economy, but what's something that you learned through the process of going through it, those challenges, the roller coaster ride, that you've said, hey, this has actually made us stronger coming out now?
Yeah, I would say that IMC Companies is very good in a crisis mode. And so I think that's one of our biggest strengths. And so obviously the pandemic was a crisis. And so we did what we do well. We're very flexible. There's not a lot of red tape at our company. We've got a lot of entrepreneurial leadership, and we don't, we kind of think outside the box. And so we just applied that to the pandemic, and we'll keep doing that in everything that we do. And it has allowed for a lot of opportunities for IMC.
What's your favorite part of your job? Because obviously, as you mentioned, when you talk about kind of the talent recruitment side, the marketing and branding, strategy, vision casting, I mean, there's a lot to what you do. What are some of your favorite parts?
That's a hard question. So I think the recruiting piece is a lot of fun because you can tell immediately what kind of impact you're having. And so, we place ads and start to talk to drivers, and we see our hiring numbers go up, and it's a lot of fun to see a direct correlation in what we do to actual drivers coming on board and working. But also, I've spent 15 years developing the IMC brand. And it's a lot of fun to see how far we've come and how different we've been in the last 15 years. And the pandemic was, as hard as that was, I appreciate that people started to talk about transportation, and people, what we do can be complicated or not, first on everyone's mind. People don't think about how things get to the store, and until they can't get them, until they can't get what they need. And so I think people just value what we do in a different kind of way. And so, and it's been fun to help educate about how important drivers are, and the people who I work with in this building, about how critical their role is in our economy.
Well, and I like the fact too, as you mentioned, when you talk about not having to drive as far, and how that's a huge advantage, especially for women who want to be at home with their children. And so I think little things like that, raising awareness in terms of, hey, here's a real opportunity, but also too, here's how this can play a vital role in your being with your family and doing the things that are important to you, and right, you could have it all. And so I think little things like that make a big difference in raising awareness for the opportunities that are out there that people might not have heard otherwise. So talk about on our end where we can go to learn more. How can we find the job opportunities? So talk about website, social media, your baby. So where do we go to learn more about IMC Companies?
You can go to imcc.com. and that's our main website. But we're also IMC Companies on LinkedIn and Facebook. We have an Instagram page and a Twitter too. Even though we don't, I take that back. We post a good bit on Twitter. We have a TikTok page that gets some very rare posts, but the ones that go up there are always a lot of fun. So.
Give me one more thing that puts a smile on your face when you think about all the growth and what lies ahead for IMC Companies.
I just still think that there's so much opportunity out there. I think that IMC Companies will continue to grow and to be successful, and that when we do that, there's a lot of great things that we can do for our community.
Absolutely. Well, Katie, thank you for all you and your amazing team do. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.